so, I use this now. This is what's been helping me heal the last week.
Now, what's that?
It's a ProWave. It's a Royal Rife healing machine. It basically uses low hertz frequencies with a square wave to heal various ailments. And this has actually worked brilliantly against some of these more exotic weapon systems that I believe are in use. And
welcome back to Basis Project. We're now in March. How are you, Gabe?
I feel better than I did last time. So
good. You look better.
Yeah.
And okay, back to the Royal Rife machine. Now, this is a really important piece of kit. Now, this is not the same as Wilhelm Reich. This is Royal Rife.
Yes, R-I-F-E, Royal Rife. And this particular one, they don't have a website, so...
I think it's probably better that they don't, because they're probably getting targeted.
Or anything like that. I just like to tell you about... if you've looked at Dr. Kilda's material as far as the things that she disclosed, and the weapon system as far as how it use low hertz ranges, broadcasting at different people from remote vehicles, helicopters, and various other devices, towers. It uses hertz level frequencies between 9, 10, 15, 20, and 25 hertz. The problem is that to identify these types of signals and to prove that it's happening to you is extremely expensive, and you need to have some pretty expensive gear that I just don't have access to. But what I did have access to, and this was somebody very kind in my life, was help me out by getting this, and it's the Rife machine. ProWave is one company that makes them.
Now, can you describe in sort of layman's terms what that does? I mean, I have one. It's got lots of different numbers and frequencies and things, but why does that help?
Well, so like here's basically kind of shows you how the machine works, okay? So this is like a series of channels and how they assign to different hertz level ranges, okay? Now, and you can display the slide. I sent it to you in an email from Dr. Kilda's material. And so they're sending 9, 10, 15, 20, 25 from these mobile systems, and the feeling it gets is similar to what you saw me experiencing last time. It's very hard to put my thoughts together. I feel like my head's splitting down the center. I was very confused, disoriented. They're very effective systems if they are in fact being used, which I do actually believe they are. To demonstrate to you how it works, sorry, I know this is not very pretty, but
yeah, that's
so it's
good.
connected.
This is one of the skin patches. The one I have has got the option for the skin patches, which of course you have to get new ones. And secondly, there's the copper rods, copper sort of bars, and also big ones so you can stick on your feet or large sections. And
so
the
I do
plasma
have
tubes.
I have those as well, but they don't make the tubes anymore for this particular device. They make they're actually very comfortable grips handles, and I just don't have them handy to me right now. I'm using these right now because I can have my hands free to talk and things like that. But
I notice you have a particular T-shirt on, a Doctor Who T-shirt. Now, what makes Gabe Cruz a Doctor Who nut?
A good friend of mine got me into it. Who actually, it's funny actually because she has a strange relationship with the number 42, which I think is really interesting. It's one of the reasons why I need to talk to her sometime. I haven't talked to her in a very long time, but
that's another science fiction series. That's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I know, but there's a whole thing with 42 and Asbolt and Project Ibis and stuff like that. So I always thought it was interesting that I asked her about it one time, and I think she didn't say it was related to Hitchhiker's Guide. She just didn't talk about what it was related to. So I don't know. Maybe I could talk to her sometime.
Despite the comedy, there's an awful lot in that. Formerly a radio series.
Yeah.
And the movie's actually quite good. But I think the series, like a lot of BBC stuff, they only made, I think, 6 of them when they should have made about 6 years worth of them. But anyway, the content is fantastic.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you can see a lot of parallels between what's really happening in our world, like a lot of good science fiction, you know.
Yeah.
When you're watching it, you can almost see things playing out, like it's kind of giving you hints to what's really going on, I think. I really enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's a great show.
I think there's an awful lot of that in Doctor Who, and when you see some of the very early Doctor Who's, and also the what was Quatermass. BBC did Quatermass in the 1950s, 1955 for God's sake.
Oh, I won't lie to you, man. I've never watched the original series from start to finish. I've only seen it basically starting with...
Doctor Who was about 1963. I think there's 2 things happened in 63. Deputy Dog, the cartoon series, was interrupted by some temporary science fiction program called Doctor Who, and nobody knew what the heck that was going to run to. And some other guy got shot in Dallas, I think. It was Dallas, wasn't it? God almighty.
I don't know.
Yeah, President Kennedy.
Oh, yeah, so that I know about.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've had the levity. What the heck's going on?
Well, so yeah, this is helping me right now, but I guess I just want to start off by saying that I think when you're deprogramming, which I believe that's what's happening to me right now, whether I'm getting, I do have people that are helping me a little bit right now who are talking to me off and on and have been supporting me a lot since the last time we talked. Really kind people just sort of step forward and really volunteer their time, I've noticed, and that's really warmed my heart. And I want to say thank you to everybody who's done that, because I have all these healing devices and things that are really moving me along, and I want to share this with as many people as possible. But we also have to kind of get down to the dirt of what I think is what a lot of things I've been trying to say for a long time, but because my programming is so ingrained, I'm going to be honest with you. I think a big deal is you just respect certain institutions to such a degree because it's what you're trained to do, you know. And I mean that by, and these are good things, I think, but like the military, especially in the United States, it's very unpopular and unfavorable to ever say anything critical about the military, because instead of people taking it in the context in which it's meant, they oftentimes make it sound like you're just criticizing the whole military and criticize. I mean, you ever heard that phrase, patriotism is the last refuge of the scoundrel? It's sort of like that. Like the people, they hide behind the flag, they hide behind patriotism to do really evil, sick, insidious things. And so when you're in the U.S. in particular and you need to call it out, there's this huge campaign to sort of swarm in and stop you from saying anything and really warn you and discourage you and borderline threaten you. I won't lie. I've been getting...
Well, I think there's a general rule. You don't swear at a police constable. Or in the military, you don't swear at a person of rank. Because then you are insulting the institution of the Metropolitan Police or the
I honestly, that...
But if
I don't
you call
believe
them
in that.
Sir, you respect that institution, and therefore you're only insulting the individual who is wearing the uniform. There's a subtle difference.
Yeah, I can understand that. Just to make sure everybody understands where I'm coming from with this, my father is a Vietnam vet, served in the Army. I absolutely respect the Army as an institution. I respect what they do. I respect our soldiers. And because I respect our soldiers, I don't like seeing them get sent away repeatedly, time and after again, into more wars that are completely unnecessary when we know damn well that people have been hiding and concealing free energy for a very long time at those senior ranking military levels. It was even, I believe, in the Paget disclosure, right? And so I've been really going around in circles with this in my mind, thinking about why they keep telling us we have to get into conflict after conflict. They go, well, and seriously, you have conversations with these guys and they always tell you it's about oil. You know, that we have to secure our energy interests, that if we don't control the oil, somebody else is going to do it, then they're going to control all the economies everywhere. And you always go back to that circle where they're saying you can't be critical of what these guys are doing, right?
They fundamentally do the blame game thing.
It's a lie. Because now we know, based on numerous disclosures, that there's multiple free energy devices that are actually produced, not maybe mass manufactured, but we know it exists. Not just MT Kesha and what he's doing, but just like in the Paget disclosure, right? Why is it that all these governments can get together repeatedly and say, look, this is something that works, we can deploy it on a mass scale, we can cut out the bankers, the corrupt energy economy, and we could all agree that this is where we're going to start. And you know why that's not going to happen, right? Because of the petrodollar. Nobody wants to let go of the petrodollar. And it's infuriating. Like, nobody in the U.S. is winning from this. Nobody in the world is winning, okay? The only ones who are winning in this constant war cycle over oil are the bankers and the military-industrial complex. End of story, period, point blank.
Yeah, I think if you look at the history of oil, you will. Yeah. It's exactly the same reason why.
And even look at Nikola Tesla, right? We know damn well in Colorado Springs he broadcast free wireless power. It happened, okay? He stuck a light bulb into the ground and it lit up. Now, that happened, what, in the early 1900s? Come on, man. You know there's a conspiracy to conceal free energy, and it happens at the high-ranking military levels because they believe that their interests are aligned with the bankers instead of with the American people. And look who suffers, guys. The American soldiers suffer over and over again by these same manipulative bankers. Do you realize that Koch Industries and their 400 guys this year alone is spending between $800 and $900 million on elections in the United States? Okay? Now, I'm sorry, I don't mean to like take away whatever here, but just listen to this. Now, how many people could you feed between $800 and $900 million? And ask yourself, who is a patriot? Who is a real American who would spend that much to screw you out of your rights, to make sure that when you're a veteran, you come back and it's harder for you to get benefits. It's harder for you to find an affordable place to live. And then turn around and go, well, we're going to give you a job now. You can work for KI. You can work for Flint Hills Resources or any of the other people who are polluting our systems with their dirty energy and all the additives they stick inside their fuels. And you guys know what's happened. Sorry, I don't mean, I'm so...
Well, I think the other major problem about this is Maxwell's equations. I've been a big fan of Colonel Tom Bearden, and he did a lot of work at Chinary.org, I think it is. And the point is, it's not just the oil, it's the other components of Maxwell's equations which were deleted. And that gives you access to zero-point energy, that gives you access to interdimensional, so on forth and so on. And so there's an awful lot more institutions like the church, the demonic aspects of the other entities and beings which have taken control, that this bunch of criminals aren't just a bunch of criminals, but they've actually allied themselves with other dimensional forces and realms to farm the rest of us. I mean, these people are treacherous and traitorous if they were human, but we know they're not human. And the human aspects of them are the ones which think they're going to get something out of this, but they're just, as they call them, second degrees. They're just the so-called button pushers, and they're going to hell in a handbasket.
And this is my problem, Miles. See, like I do trust and believe that all these people who have stories of UFOs and aliens are telling the truth. Okay, I believe it. I just don't have those experiences myself. I've never had firsthand access to one of these entities or beings, what I've seen firsthand, or I can say that I can associate certain behaviors with them. I only can associate these behaviors with the people who are right in front of me. And granted, to your point, are they people who are in control of themselves fully? Are they under my control? Are they part human? Are they part something else? I can't determine that, you know, any more than I can determine whether or not they're well-intentioned or evil-intentioned. I just know that something's wrong, but I don't want to entirely go there yet because that's a whole different topic. I would like to kind of focus on my childhood experiences a little bit and get back to that, because I really feel like there is a connection between things that happened to me as a child that I'm now recalling in much better clarity. And they're painful, so I really don't want to get into the dark details about it. I don't want to really talk about...
Well, go as far as you feel it's best for you, if you want to, whatever you want to do.
All right, so when it comes to child abuse, and I think especially these people who are kind of sick, who do these things to people, I think that you have people who are malicious at their core and are very poisoned. And I think you have other people who are just poisoned and have the ability to be made well. And I'm telling you this as a victim. Okay, as a person who's had these people do things to me. And I'm going to just tell you straight up their name, okay, because it's important. And I don't care what happens to this person because it's been going on a long time. I don't think he's actually dead. This is an
allegation.
I'm absolutely going public with this allegation. It's not an allegation. It's a fact. All right.
Okay.
It's James J. Pettigrew. He was my grandfather. And I'm telling you straight up. I am not doing this to be mean or cruel. I'm doing this because this man is sick, and I don't think he's ever been stopped. I was trying to locate him not that long ago when I was about to talk to you to find out if I could even find him. And I'm not trying to do anything to him, by the way, except for just hold him accountable and get him help if that's even possible. But he has multiple victims, and I feel like if there's all these kids like me who went through this and I'll tell you straight up, it was around the years of it had to have started around 1975, 1976, and continued on through about 1984 in this particular neighborhood. I don't want to get too specific about addresses and things because I know there's people living there, and I don't want them to go through problems. So I think the best way to say it is that it's a neighborhood. If you recognize my name and you know James J. Pettigrew, there'll be a link here. You can contact me. I believe those people who are victimized by him deserve at least some acknowledgement, even if this isn't tied to any other thing, okay? It's extremely important that these people be acknowledged for what they experienced, and if they can talk to me and I can help them heal from it, I want to do that. And I think that it's important that you know that they had a specific predilection for certain types of children of certain races.
Can you list that?
Asian. I'm trying to be very delicate here, guys, because I have to be very respectful of a lot of people.
Okay, I think collectively we're doing things respectfully here. And
yes,
then...
absolutely. This is absolutely in the spirit of healing people, and I'm not. This isn't punitive at all, guys. Honestly, I want people to heal. I believe that these are sicknesses and illnesses, and people have an ability to heal. And the ones that are truly malevolent are very few in number. I believe that most people have the ability to be healed. And I know that's not a very popular thing to say, but I'm telling you this as a person who has been affected deeply by these people, that there is a possibility to heal them, I think, if you give them an opportunity. But it doesn't happen by hiding it and pretending it didn't happen and making, oh no, make it go away. It's too dark. You know, guys, sorry. I mean,
okay,
so here's what I heard. Okay,
take it as you wish. Take it as you can.
I just need to get into it. The place that it happened, okay, and I'm not going to say specifically. It was near. It did not. I'm looking for kids who grew up near Bothell, Washington. It's a suburb of Seattle, Washington. It would have been very close to a fire department and a FEMA facility and an Army facility that's located on 228th Avenue on top of a hill. Okay, if you live near that neighborhood within about a mile, especially near a school, and you know me, feel free to contact me so that we can talk about this and maybe try to see if we can figure out what happened. I have memories, and I want to be very respectful about who I talk about and locations that are specific to it. And I need to have other people who might have experienced it talk to me, maybe privately or however they feel comfortably, so that we can actually find out if this is a fractured memory, if it's true, if it's... I can tell you without a doubt I was abused. And I know the house, I know the locations and the people involved. No question. James J. Pettigrew not only took me, but another person on multiple trips throughout the Northwest on his company business. And we also were taken to Canada. That's where the plot thickens a little bit and starts to get connected to other stories, see? And that's why I'm kind of interested in talking to more people about what might have happened about this particular piece. I know I didn't talk about this earlier, and I'm sorry, but it's obviously something that's extremely delicate, and I don't know exactly how to handle all these topics. This is a lot to sort of have rush in on you.
Well, I think if we just take it one step at a time.
Yeah, and the minute you're going to say something, to suddenly start getting warnings and little subtle, you know, that's hurtful. It's hurtful to get told to shut up over and over again. I'm just going to tell you a story about the same person. When I was about 7 years old, they were drunk when this guy and another guy, and me and another kid he took, rolled right past that same area. They were on 228th in front of that building, and we were in a red station wagon, and they were drunk, and they didn't close the door all the way, and I fell out of the car while they were driving. And these guys told me not to say anything to anyone ever, and I limped around for 2 months. I'm not saying this to get your whatever, you know. I'm just saying, like, that's the culture I grew up in, guys. Like, they said, don't say anything, because if your parents find out, they'll know that we were drunk, and you know, they'll sue us or something like that, right? I mean, seriously, that was like, I was told that by the same person who was my abuser and his buddy, who I also believe to be an abuser, okay? Now, they were drunk, and I fell out of that car, and they told me to hide that from my own parents. Not to even take me to the doctor, guys, because that would leave evidence. I mean, this happens over and over again in our culture, man. Don't talk. Don't talk. You're going to embarrass somebody. You know, I just want a normal moment with our family. Please don't embarrass us. Please don't embarrass us. And, you know, nobody's saying that to me specifically, but it's just like that feeling and sense of responsibility that the victim gets over and over again, man. And that's just, it's wrong, man. Somebody has to, like, at least get these people healed so they stop doing it to somebody else, you know? Like, stop thinking of it as like chasing somebody down and ruining their lives, and just thinking of it as healing them. Because what's happened to Mr. Pettigrew, he basically got away scot-free. He was even sued at one time. This is public record, guys. This is not like I'm the first person to say this. He's been sued. I don't know all the details of it because that happened when I was a kid, but he was living inside my own house when that happened, and he was chased out. told not to come back, and he never did. And that was when we were still on the farm between 1985 to 1990 sometime, or 1989. And I haven't seen James J. Pettigrew since. And I was told that he got remarried and moved to Mexico. He's not the Mexican side of my lineage, by the way. I was just told that's where he went. I don't know if it's true. I've never been able to validate it, but I would really like this man to at least be put in a situation where he gets help if he does still exist. And I wonder why somebody's hiding him if they are. That kind of bothers me, because I don't think he's actually dead. I just want to go on record as saying that. Anyways, in addition to that, that happened, okay? So that's Bothell, Washington. And so that's that issue. And if you have questions about it, I can answer them. You have anything you want to know? Or
yeah, well, what kind of abuse are you referring to without wishing to re-traumatize you?
Getting kids into sexual situations with one another and giving them pornography. And basically making them act out acts of pornography with each other on film. And they also filmed us in black and white on a video camera at another neighbor's house. And so I think, and I know the names of those people. So if those people were to step forward and talk to me, I remember their names. I actually remember some of the kids' names. That's why I feel very, this information has really been sitting heavy in my heart, guys. I don't say these things lightly. I want these people to get some help. So if they recognize me and any of this sounds familiar and you want to talk, please talk to me. That's what I want to say.
Were there any other rituals involved? Do you know of anything involving a ritual? I
have
an actual death. I'm saying.
No, I don't have recollections of actual ritualistic things involving robes and things of that nature. It was really just very run of the mill. I think sick people just trying to get kids to do things to each other.
And were there any institutional organizations involved with that?
Because my memories tend to be fractured, and the reason why I'm telling you this is because most of my memories of when Jim took us on trips, I'm sorry to bounce around, but this is why I need to tell you this. My ability to remember is very fractured. I have basically a lot of memories of him taking me and another person to a large truck depot and lots of lights. And then after that, I have memories of watching a TV movie. I know this is all weird, but almost every trip I have the same memory. I would watch a movie on television, and he was in bed with another kid, and then I'm watching the television, and there's a movie playing it's murky outside. It's like cloudy and overcast, and it's an abandoned house. There's no windows in it. But it's like hollowed out, right? Like it's abandoned, and there's nothing but broken little like Kewpie dolls everywhere, like with the eyes rolling, like those standard dolls that are cheap that you can find for $1 everywhere. Tons of these broken, dirty dolls everywhere, and it's just me walking around in this for hours and hours and hours by myself. That's all my memories. So I don't know. Maybe somebody else had similar programming or had that same thing put in their head.
That sounds like some kind of screen memory of some kind.
A what?
It sounds like a screen memory if it's repeating.
Yeah, maybe it was. I don't know.
But I'm not a therapist, so I can't.
Yeah, that's just what I remember. And so maybe if somebody else had a similar memory, you know what I'm saying? Like that's because I've noticed that with a lot of people.
Is there any kind of name you've got that you could mention about the film or the movie?
I don't know what it was. See, it doesn't seem like a real movie to me. It felt like it was, like I was in it almost.
What characters were
honestly,
in the movie?
What's weird? The more you think about it, I know this sounds very bizarre, but I felt like Brooke Shields was in it. I know that sounds so strange. It's like weird. I can almost see Brooke Shields walk on the set off and on really quick, and that's it. I don't know why. But I think Brooke Shields was really popular at the time, so maybe that's just like a way they merged. I don't know. Again, it's just something I felt like it really has been sitting really at my core, because I know he took us up there, and that wasn't the only times that we were taken up to that region.
It sounds as if this was being played off a videotape of some kind. I mean, you don't get that on the TV every night or all the time.
No. That's what I'm saying. Like the whole memory is really just like I can almost see myself outside myself watching it on television in a hotel room, and then the next memory is like sort of being in the television as part of the film. Like I'm actually the one walking around the house.
Are there any other details about the film that you could? Was it a Western? Was it? What was
no,
involved?
It's not even a movie, guys. It's really just a dark house. It's cloudy. It's abandoned. And there's dirty dolls everywhere on the ground and like all broken up and everything like that, and I just walk around and they're just in piles everywhere, and it just goes on and on and on like in a loop. That's the memory. That's why I feel like there was some heavy programming done.
Any other character in the film other than Brooke Shields?
No, and even then, man, that's just for some reason I have this like image of her walking off and on a couple times, but it's mostly just that image.
Are there any details in the dolls?
I could find pictures and maybe send them to you to add in later on, you know what I'm saying, of the type of doll it would be. I could try to see if I could locate them. But
what condition were the dolls in?
But just think about really like those cheap sort of like the ones that have the eyes that can roll, you know, back and forth a little bit, you know, like you can close their eyes and open the eyes. And they're just, you know, painted mouth, like very bulby kind of faces and, you know, just cheap, like the dollar kind of, you can get them in dollar stores, little cheap dolls that you see little kids carrying around, you know.
Did the rooms have any colors?
No, just dirty. You know, like they were abandoned and left.
Was it a dirty what color? I mean, was it? Can you remember colors?
Like tannish white dolls, and they just have dirt on them. You know, and then like the eyes are, you know, like one eye will be open, one eye will be closed, kind of like that. Or it might just be gouged out all entirely, or, you know, like somebody just like sort of took all these dolls apart and stuck the little pieces everywhere, and there's pieces of them and arms hanging out and that kind of thing. You know, but they're all dolls. And that's it, guy.
What kind of clothing did the dolls have?
They all just seemed like they were just little, all ripped and broken, you know. Most of them are just like there. And if there is any material, it's just sort of this dangling and broken and ripped.
Any other characters? Was there a telephone in the room, or what type of TV was it?
The television, though, that's pretty specific, because I can remember being a separate bed, and it's just like an old school tube, maybe like 25-inch television set, kind of older, and it even has, I think, like a slider, little buttons instead of like the old, you know, like you used to do on televisions back in the 70s. You actually have the buttons on top for the cable box. It wasn't fancy where you had like a remote and everything. I can sense that, and just being in the bed watching the movie, and then just back and forth between that. And the thing that's disturbing about it is that in this memory, I know something's happening in the other bed that should not be happening. Like I'm conscious that James is abusing that person while I'm watching.
What was the bed like? What was the furniture like in the room?
It's like a cheap hotel, guy, like kind of like a, you know, cheap bargain budget motel. I mean, that's as simple as that. Dirt, you know, very basic, nothing fancy, the kind of place you'd get back in the 80s for like $19.99 a night, that kind of place, you know. Cheap.
Was there sound of traffic or anything? Any other noise?
No, man. It's really as simple as just the dolls in the house and just going back and forth there.
Going back and forth from where?
It's disturbing to me because I know this is tied to real things. And you have to understand, I'm trying to juxtapose this against respecting another person's privacy. So I can't really go into a whole lot more details about it other than that.
So you are able to remember, but you don't wish to say, is that right?
Well, no. There's things, I've told you basically everything I remember about the video and what played on the TV. And I do know the person that he was messing with or touching. I do know who they are. I'm just trying to be respectful. So if that person wants to talk to me, then yeah, we can talk about it openly or whatever, but I'm not going to talk on their behalf.
Okay. So why have you brought this up now? What this is the start. You said you had lots to say. What's this? Okay. What's the key to why you're saying this?
This is the part that I want to be very delicate about as far as what our military goes. It's not just that the neighborhood was close to that camp. I have memories of tunnels, and I have memories that are very fractured, guys, like just like tube, like what do you call it, rippled, ridged tunnels like this, dark, cables running along the top, staircases. And then when I started looking at the neighborhood and looking where that facility was, and I started getting these, I'm like going, there's a FEMA facility there, and I've seen the inside.
When you say you've seen the inside, was it under some kind of contractual reason you were doing some work there, or what?
I've actually been inside on a tour. Okay, I was actually given access once, But beyond that, I have weird memories of a tunnel system, and that's my problem. Like, I want to know if other people have the same memories, because I don't want to just say that it's happening. But since there's so many things that are linked to this, and it seems to be a common thread, if anybody does know, I'm a good person to talk to. I'll put it that way.
Are there any features in the tunnels, like a type of telephone or a number or colors of doors or anything like that?
Again, like this is where it gets tricky, see? Because I feel like there's an access tunnel from a house in a neighborhood nearby that gets you to this system that gets to there, see? And I'm trying to be really delicate about that, because this would be a very specific house, and I don't want anybody to be disturbed or bothered. But it's a house, well, again, see, it's almost impossible for me to do this now and respect people's privacy.
I mean, is this a part of an institution, like a children's home or a nursing home or what?
Honestly, that's what really bothers me about it now, because now when I look at the map, I realize that it's right next to an elementary school. And I'm not sure if that school was there at the time or not, because I didn't go to school in that neighborhood. That was my grandfather's neighborhood.
Any holes, any type of a institutional hole or...
This particular one, the memory that I have is fractured, and it would have been in a side room in a house near my grandfather's, and it was a split-level home, and it's where the videotaping... I have memories of a guy with a black and white video camcorder, and I remember seeing him set it up in the upstairs and pointed at the room that it was going to happen in. And then I just have these... You have to understand, dude, like, I was like, what, 5, 6 years old? I'm 41 now, and it's traumatizing. I feel like it wasn't, the access wasn't in Jim's house. I feel like it was in a neighbor's house. That's what I'll say. So if there's somebody who knows about that, I really wish that they would talk to me. And I don't want to just say that stuff randomly and recklessly, guys, because maybe it did exist at one time and now it doesn't. I don't know. You know, again, we're talking anytime between around 75, 70, actually more like 76 till 1984, when I moved completely away from that section of Washington. So yeah, that's part of it, right? And
what
I guess
section again?
That would be Bothell, Washington, near Seattle. And then after that is when I moved over to Eastern Washington, and our family had a farm. But that's also, this is where the story just is, I don't really, this is so much to go over, and it's so much time we'd have to spend on it, and I don't want to do that because there's other topics.
We've got, let's dedicate this section to that. You got another 20 minutes.
Okay.
Half an hour. Go down as deep as you want to go. This is entirely up to you.
Well, okay, so I have these memories about that and the truck depots, and there's also the potential that, because what I've been doing since we talked is I've been trying to research all these other stories a little bit more, because it became very clear to me there's a lot of dynamics to everybody's stories that I don't fully understand. Like, people would approach me after those interviews and say, do you know about this? Do you ever see this? Have you seen this interview? And I'm going, no, I don't know about any of these things, you know, like... So I start researching like Casbolt's story more. I watched some of the other interviews. I watched Dave Morrow's interviews. That in particular, I feel like I need to talk to him, honestly.
Dave Morrow?
There's things inside his stories that may link to this, and I just don't...
Well, I have to say that I've been put under a lot of pressure, and there was a bit of an incident which happened with Dave Morrow really quite recently, and they really wanted to pull that interview.
Really?
And it was a very nasty piece of work that had happened then. And I think that Dave, from what I understand, was actually manipulating the people who thought were in control of him.
Okay.
And I have to say that the whole situation, as far as Dave was concerned at that time, and myself, and another couple of individuals who I'm not going to mention, was... a small child that was abducted in the Mediterranean region here quite some time ago, called Maddie. And there's connections with a major institutional home in Wiltshire, and also another one up in Scotland. But that's to do with some pretty serious manufactured human soul-swapping type of an operation, and I'm not going to put it too far. I'm not going to go much further than that.
I hear you, and I know honestly, dude, I know I'm treading in really dangerous territory here, and I think I was a little naive when I first approached you and not understanding just how deep it goes. But I wouldn't say that's changed my. It hasn't changed my. It doesn't change the way I approach the issue anymore. As far as I'm concerned, I've already had my life so dismantled and so destroyed by this targeting system. I don't really feel like there's anything that I can't say about myself anymore. It's really just more preserving other people, you know, that don't deserve to have things said about them. As far as I'm concerned, they've torn me down so much that I'll talk about just about anything involving myself. So,
well, what have they done? But no, hold on. Sorry. You mentioned James Casbolt, and in the emails you said that the guy who looked just like James Casbolt was coming into it. And you used a slightly younger picture of James in your email.
I'm going to go on record about this very much so.
Now,
so
James is in jail at the moment, but he seems to be accessing an awful lot of people in so-called astral.
Okay.
What are you saying? What is this James Casbolt triggering all about? And this guy that's in the... And you named the guy.
Yeah, I know who he is, and he's been seen, actually. Here's the thing about this. I was contracting in an office here in Portland. I won't go into too many details about that specifically. People know where I was, so that's all that matters. The right people know where I was. And I reported every day inside this office, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 was operating hours. And a lot of the people inside this office are people that I've known in the industry going back to the mid-'90s or even to the mid-2000s. So I'm not a slouch in the industry as far as that goes. It's like I know a lot of people. If I walk into an office in the region, I might know 1 or 2 people in there at a minimum, no matter where it is or what company. That's how long I've been doing this. And there's not that many of us who have specialized in my field of radio RF engineering or in building system performance. So this is somebody I walk past pretty frequently, but I wasn't into bases. You know what I mean? I didn't watch Casbolt. I didn't know anything about him. But this one guy in particular was aggressive towards me the minute he met me. And I first met him up in Eastgate, Bellevue. And I worked with another guy whose name I won't say, but they worked together. They were stationed together in Afghanistan. And they were both electronic warfare specialists, okay? Now, the minute that guy came to that office, and at the time he worked out of Portland, and I was living in Bellevue and working in the Eastgate office, okay? So he was just visiting from here, right? And he came to that office, and the minute he sat down, he started extracting my thoughts out loud, repeating what I was thinking out loud and trying to taunt me. Now, I haven't talked about these things very openly because I've been trying to be respectful of any sort of operations that might be going on in some of these offices, but they've been so disrespectful to me and taken a crap on my privacy and tormented me and tortured me so many times and made it clear to me that I can never run away, I can never escape, that I figure the best thing I can do now is just tell you exactly what the tactics are, their methodology, everything. I'm not going to hold a thing back, guys.
Well, tell us then.
Okay, so there's that, right? So I came in, and basically I sit down at my computer, and so they start literally, if I'm reading something, and it could be totally unrelated. I know you're going to say it's probably the same email you guys all got. No, it wasn't. This is something I'm reading about a project that I'm working on. He's sitting 3-4 cubes away, doesn't even have a wall that can see at me, right? He starts not only reading things off the computer screen that I'm reading inside my mind, because I read out loud when I'm reading, he'll start extracting my thoughts. And I remember thinking to myself,
what did that feel like?
It's just this, I've had it happen to me so many times, man, that I'm used to it now. And I think that's the thing.
What does it feel like?
It's a violation, man. I mean, somebody got inside your brain and knows what you're thinking, and you can't do it to them.
Is there anything you feel in your head?
What's that?
Is there anything you actually feel in your head, like a finger going in, or like a tingle or anything like that?
If there is, I must have gotten used to it over time. I'll put it that way. I don't feel a sensation or anything like that. It's just out of nowhere, it happens. And it happened to me on another contract, guys. It's happened to me on my last 2 contracts. The other time, a guy walked up to me, and I remember I was so traumatized that day because the office, I hate using that word, guys, but if you had any idea how these places are, that's the exact word you would use. I'm not trying to act like a weenie here or anything like that. It's very weird. And this office had an address of 2999. And I remember when I saw that building, every day I would walk up to it and I would see it, visualize that number turning upside down and see it say 666, because that's how it felt to me, like I was walking into hell, And so I went to the office, and I remember sitting down, and as soon as I walked in, it was like a Wall Street boiler room, everybody yelling, screaming, I mean, it's not real, dude. There's no engineering office that functions this way. There's no way that was a real situation. I just don't believe it was real. But that's a whole other topic we can talk about another time. But he walked up behind me, and as I'm seeing all this chaos behind me, I just think to myself, I put my head in my hands, and I'm like going, this place is possessed by the devil. And right as I say devil in my mind, this man puts his hand on my shoulder and says...
On your left shoulder?
Like right here, right from behind me, and he goes, Devil 666. Nice guy, too, by the way. And I looked at him, I go, dude, I swear to God you can read my mind. And he just laughed at me, and he goes, I can. I have story after story after story like that, guys, of things that have happened to me, and I just don't even know where to begin.
Well, tell us the stories.
Well, let's get back to the Casbolt guy, okay? So that was on a separate contract.
Okay, who was the guy who put your hand on his shoulder? Was that the Casbolt lookalike?
No, that was a separate situation. Sorry, I was just telling you that as another situation.
Okay, I just want to make it clear
on a separate contract. So that was a contract before that. This is on the one that I just basically I quit. You know, now I'm done with wireless. I'm not going back. It's that contract, okay? Because that was basically my affirmation that I'm never going to get a moment's peace as long as I work in this industry. These people are going to do this to me.
Now, what contract were you dealing with? What sort of technology were you dealing with?
In-building system performance, which means I do forensic troubleshooting of in-building issues. So tracking down signal sources, basically doing repeaters, distributed antenna systems, which are called DAS, D-A-S. It's basically where you take an antenna, place it on the roof, run coax cable down into a floor that doesn't get good coverage, and then it has a repeater. So it pulls a signal from a cell tower, brings it down the coax, feeds into the repeater, then that repeater connects to a series of antennas that rebroadcast it in the basement or whatever, right? So it occurred to me that I was probably a goon for some of these projects to help people basically expand their systems underground. Because when you really get down to it, you know, DAS has the ability to take a wireless signal and extend it 9 miles. Do you know that? So all a person has to do is set up a repeater system with a distributed antenna system, and it has a fiber optic link that would carry that signal 9 miles underground if you wanted it to. Do you know that?
9 miles is a long distance.
But that's I can tell you from firsthand experience, that's about where most of the equipment times out. Like, you can't get much further than 9 miles, but they can go that far. So ask yourself, if they had me acting like their goon, going to all these different places all over the place, various places, what do you suppose my real purpose was when I was actually implementing those systems? Well, sure, I put in a DAS and I walked away. What do you think happened after I left? Just saying.
Well, I'm sure nobody would ever dishonestly take the equipment and maybe put it deeper.
No, not in a million years would anybody make it run way deeper. So, anyways, just thought I'd share that. So,
certainly, I've never done a thing like that, and a friend of mine has never taken a licensed satellite system and maybe moved it elsewhere after he got the okay for it. But we'll pass on that.
So, okay, so as far as the stuff that goes as far as remote viewing goes, there's that. There's synthetic telepathy. Absolutely. That's one of the reasons why Anya Briggs's and Solaris's story resonated so much with me, because I had similarly bizarre, kind of unexplainable, like some of these contracts, I don't know why they even tolerated me. Like this one I just told you about. I used to get so angry at them while I was inside the office, while they did that to me. I mean, people are pulling my thoughts out. They're tormenting me. They're doing all kinds of sick things to me, and I'm going,
when you say people, I mean, how many are you talking about?
I'm going to tell you, actively participating, I'd say there's about 6 or 7 in that office that I know for a fact were definitely actively participating. Sorry, go ahead.
Hold on. Jesus. Number of times you have to pull this thing out.
So, you know, I can't prove that anybody was actively participating, because we all know how this works, right? Part of the targeted individual program is to send information. They have their own version of subtle energy, I'll put it that way. They have ways of just doing it to where it's plausibly deniable. But they do leave.
They have their own reason, their own type of subtle energy.
Well, I'll give you an example.
I mean, this is all targeted individual technology.
I'll share things that are personal with you, man. I had, I don't know, it was about back in August or so. I felt something on one of my testicles. I'll be straight up with you. We're all grown-ups here. And, you know, you're doing an exam, and you're like, that's not right. So I go to a doctor. I don't share this with anybody, not even my family at first, right? But the very next morning, I start getting emails at the same contract, and I go by Justin when I contract, my first name, because I don't like having people talk to me like they're family. You can understand now why I feel that way, right? And so they started sending me emails right after I had a testicular exam that called me Justine. And it didn't happen just once, guys. Then it happens twice. Then it happens 3 times, right? And now you're going, I just had my nuts looked at, and now they're calling me Justine. Then I walk in, and they have painted up here a little flyer that said, beanbag toss contest. Now, I know what you're saying, man. Oh, well, that's just a coincidence. Okay, fair enough. Then there's somebody, the same guy, the Casbolt lookalike, writes in on that beanbag contest, you know, making fun of something that I said. This is a theory, mind you. I can't prove this. But here I am inside my apartment, and I know damn well these guys surveillance me because they remind me all the time, right? They're always telling you we're listening to everything you're doing. We're watching everything you're doing. You can't escape us. So I go, fine, I'm going to have a conversation with you then. I'm just going to talk into the mic. Why not? You know? And so I sit there and I go, come on, guys, can we have a win-win here? Is there a way we can find a way to, you don't lose your pride and your ego, but we stop this ridiculous program and you just admit that you did something wrong? Can anybody with me? Does anybody want to join me in this? And then so that same guy, the next morning I walk in and there's that billboard sitting up there and it says, come on, man, is anybody with me? Anyone? Please, somebody but, and it's my mom's name that he wrote in. And my mom supports me, so that's making fun of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, shame me for having a mom who helps me and supports me. Shame me for trying to reach out in peace. You know, shame me for trying to find a win-win situation where the wireless carrier or the government doesn't get embarrassed. I have reached out so many times to prevent this from being a sloppy disclosure, and they just ignore me and just continue their campaign, man. And it's making me sick. And the idea that they can invent these little weapons programs and assassinate a 70-year-old woman in her house over a 4-day period makes me pissed beyond belief. And the fact that these same assholes are hiding kids, occultic ritualistic abuse in these bases, and instead of just admitting they got a problem in their PSYOPs division, instead of just admitting there's an issue going on there, instead of just admitting they got embedded people who are abusing their privileges at wireless telecommunications companies, they just keep hiding, shaming, and trying to erase those of us who are whistleblowers. And I'm sick of it, man. I'm sick of it.
Well, maybe they aren't ashamed of it. They're part of an insidious infusion program to kill us, take us over.
I'm telling you,
some people would say.
That's the only thing that can explain it, because it's like human decency has just become erased. There is not a thing I can do to appeal to these people in a peaceful manner. I've tried so hard, you guys. I've told them over and over again, can we please find a way to make this a win-win? Can you guys get your people healed? Can you please get them some help? Can you please just admit that you have a problem and stop hiding it? Because here's the deal. This is how we know that this is institutionalized, the pedophile rings and all that other stuff. This is how you know for a fact, because they're hiding that and the human experimentation down in these bases. And they're also hiding the free energy, because you can't have dirty energy in an underground tunnel system. You cannot have dirty energy in a deep underground military base. It is impossible. So think about it, guys. You know damn well they're hiding free energy down there, and they're not showing it to the rest of us, and there has to be a reason why. Now, if you believe as a military individual that I'm an asshole for talking about this, then ask yourselves, why are these same pricks hiding free energy from us in these deep underground military bases and then fooling you into going to war another time over oil? It pisses me off, because they're hiding the human experimentation, the child abuse, and the free energy. And if we took care of these 3 things and just disclosed that this stuff exists, we would solve all these problems simultaneously. Free energy would heal the world. We could convert every military base into a free energy center that cleans up the water supply and reverses the damage we've done anywhere. And if you ask yourselves where we're going to find the money, got news for you guys. We print that shit, okay? We print it. And if they can print it, and tell us we owe them 1.5 or whatever trillion dollars afterwards, then we can look at those same 300 guys who are telling us that and say, got news for you. Your money isn't worth shit. We don't owe you anything except for to other countries that we've, have to pay back. And we'll work that out with them. But we're cutting you out of the deal. And we're also going to cut dirty energy out of the deal. And you know what happens after that? No more pedophile networks, because they don't have the petrodollar. They can't hide behind the banks. They can't hide behind the energies. And they can't hide in their goddamn underground military bases. Sorry. I have to say it, man. I'm so angry right now. That's the best way.
This is brave words, but how do we action that? How do you feel this can be actioned?
Because me and a whole bunch of other people know where the hell these places are, and we have to stop being ashamed of talking about it and just get all the information out. I've got 150 pages to talk about where underground bases are, where tunnels are, and you know what? Let's get our combined group, resources together. Let's get these codexes, whatever this. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what that is. But it happened, okay? I'm a pretty scientific guy. All I know is that something esoteric occurred. Whether it was technology and esoteric, technology and occult, or just pure occult, or a little bit of everything, I don't know, but it happened. Look at these notebooks, man. I got info. Let's talk. Let's work it out, man. How can we be happy one more day even thinking that it's possible a child's being abused in an underground tunnel, man? Why aren't we beating down the doors to these places, demanding to get inside? It's sick. That's our culture. We just go, that couldn't be happening. Guys, it's happening. I swear to you. Take it from a kid who spent time in D.C. I was at I'm going to tell you guys another story about just these politicians in case you don't think this can happen. Okay, my dad, he had something with Senator Warren Magnuson. He was a congressional fellow. That's why we're in D.C. I have a vivid memory of being at a mansion in Washington, D.C., and being in a circle of these guys and looking up, and they were drinking, and I remember reaching into the cooler and grabbing a beer out, and they were like, yeah, let them have it, And so I opened it up. They were like, yeah, drink it. And I drink it, and it's a Budweiser. And I go, and I hand it to one of them, and I go, it's not Rainier. I prefer Rainier. What does that tell you about my childhood, guys? I actually had a preference for Rainier beer when I was 5 years old. Yeah, I'm not going to remember everything. Sorry. But I can tell you things like that happen. They happen in politicians' homes, okay? They happen in high-ranking military officials' bases. And they can't hide behind this shit anymore, guys. So let's all get organized. Let's get coordinated. I got backing, I swear to you. People don't think that people like us nerds have any backing. I got news for you, man. I've got serious backing. I got serious people's attention. I've done a lot of good things for people over the years, and we will get support. But let's start working together to end this. If there's people out there who are sick, we need to work to get them help. That's what we can do for our military. Because if these projects are associated with that same division of PSYOPs that got corrupted and poisoned down in the Presidio area, think about that, guys. That's systemic. That goes over decades. That doesn't just get erased overnight. Once that's pollution's in a system, it's like a virus, and it has to be extracted. And those people are still working in the system. The same way you have those Project Paperclip Nazi SS guys that are floating around in our system and running all these little experiments, the sons and daughters of those same people are also in our military institutions. And someone out there knows exactly who I'm talking about. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Sorry.
Don't say that's fine. Keep going. Keep going. Now, for instance, this computer I've got beforehand basically upgraded itself to malware Windows 10, which is a malware system.
It is. It's pretty awful. I actually upgraded my mom's machine, and it's a total disaster.
Well, you don't have much choice. Obviously, they're enforcing and pushing this particular software in for their own nefarious reasons. I mean, the malware that goes in, it's put into your system like malware. How do you, as a technology person, see how we can deal with this? What tools can we use to enact what you just said?
Oh, well, I mean, I got tools here, so we can talk about that. You want to talk about this stuff?
Yeah, we can do that in the next part.
Want to do this in a second part?
Yeah.
We can do that. Yeah, let's talk about that another time. But I guess here's what I'm going to tell you, man. Truth is your weapon. Stand by your truth. Be honest. Be upfront. If they're stalking you, if they're harassing you, be balls out, man. Don't hide. Don't let them think they can make you hide. The best thing you can do is look them in the face and tell them you know exactly who they are. That's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, I think when you're being followed or gang stalked, just face them down.
They bank on your trauma. They bank on your fear. They're trying to drive you into silence. And what good is that ever going to do? You have support, I promise you. If you're near me, if you're associated with me, I promise you, you have support. That is my promise to the world, guys. I quit this industry. I'm never going back to the wireless industry because I know what kind of poison is in there and you can't fix things from within. I'm here. I'm going to help. And I got all the tools to do it, and I need more tools to keep doing my work. And we'll get to that another time, but we're going to do it, man. We're going to heal people, and we're going to beat the problem. And you know what? This is going to be global peace. We have the opportunity now for world peace. We have the opportunity for free energy everywhere, clean water everywhere, and we restore the U.S.'s reputation with the rest of the world. Our soldiers aren't sent to war for nothing. We just root out this problem, get into these bases, dig out this problem, and we're good, man. So many problems will get solved, and so much healing is going to happen after that. I really want us to focus on that and believe in it. I swear to you it's true. Sorry.
Fantastic. Now, the main thing is that you said there, face them down. Go for them. You have support. One of the biggest things that everybody thinks, it can't be true. Whatever's just happened couldn't have happened.
Listen, guys, I'm going to be straight up with you. I don't really like to do this very often, but I'm going to this time, and I hope this doesn't sound like I'm pandering or trying to get some money or anything, because I'm not. But I donated some money to Eric Garner and Michael Brown's families through Run the Jewels, a band that's here in the States, and it's Michael Render and LP. And those of you who are following the U.S. election, there's a man named Bernie Sanders who's running. And if you know it like me, the Democrats are really trying to push that man out of the nomination and put Hillary in no matter what we want. It doesn't matter how popular Bernie is. And I'm sorry if anybody's into Hillary. I'm not dogging her at all. I'm just saying that it's very clear the Democrats are saying, this is your candidate whether you like it or not. And us people, we don't like that, okay? And I'm telling the people, don't put up with it. If the Democrats won't give it to him rightfully, then he needs to go independent. And I'm so glad that Bernie Sanders is getting introduced by this man, Michael Render, because Michael Render is also known as Killer Mike, okay? And I'm hoping this man will help me out a little bit and get some awareness out about what we're talking about, because this is it. I got his album. This is called Meow the Jewels. My cat's on this record, just so you know, okay? This is one of the vinyl pressings, only one of 10 available. I have a copy of one of the 10 test pressings. I want these guys to help me. I'm serious about this stuff.
Now, man. What is that album? Just describe it very briefly.
In fact,
what's it actually about?
This is basically Run the Jewels. They basically did this album for charity. It's Meow the Jewels, and it's using nothing but cat sounds to make a rap album that's remixed. So it's different artists like Prince Paul and The Automator and different artists and stuff, and LP and Killer Mike. And they basically were challenged to make a, a remix album out of nothing but cat sounds. And so they put together a Kickstarter campaign. And at the time, I was making a lot of money, you know, and I just can't hold on to money, guys. It's not my thing. I don't hoard and save money. And so I gave them a whole bunch of money to help get the record made, because they needed $40,000 to do it. And then they promised that if they got the $40,000, that they would donate it to victims of police brutality, especially the families of Eric Garner and Michael Brown, and that extra proceeds would go to like a scholarship program, which they totally made good on. So since they did that, I'm just saying, like, I will actually, I mean, if I can get the equipment even just to continue the work, I'll auction this stuff off. If we, you know, seriously, I need to get the funding to do it.
Okay, so how do people contact you? How do they enact that? Just in a minute, and then we'll close up for this part and start the next part.
I don't know if I'm going to do that yet. I just sort of did that on the fly. I have it here, and I want support, and I'm hoping that he'll help us. Because that man's connected to a really powerful guy, and I think that if we had a more awareness...
we're speaking now in March 19th, 2016. But just to dateline it. But how do people do that? How do they get hold of you?
That's a good question. Right now, I would say the rfchaosheart@gmail.com is the one I have connected, and if that
we'll stick that up on the edit, and we're running out of. We need to take a break, and we need to break these files up so we don't oversize the files. So we'll say be back after the break.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Thanks, Miles.
Good.